So for the first part of creating the terror mask, I put together pieces of cardboard like this to approximate the look and the design of the mask. I based my designs sort of on a vague mix of the third and the sort of the reboot mask, because it doesn't look quite as much like Jason Voorhees. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some wood glue and I'm gonna apply on the edges and smooth them out a bit with sanding paper, and you'll see how it looks. Okay, so the first layer of cardboard paper and wood glue is in place, and I'm just gonna let this layer dry, and then I'm gonna put on another layer of cardboard paper and wood glue, and so I can get a smoother surface of the mask. This is what the terror mask looks like now, with 2 layers of cardboard paper and wood glue on it, and it looks kind of cool. It looks menacing and quite similar to the mask that Rick wears in the game. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sand out the rough edges with sanding paper and hopefully get a little smoother surface. I don't want it to be too smooth. I want it to feel rough and menacing. So just smooth out some of the more obvious creases here. So after I had sanded and smoothed out the most rough surfaces, I put on a layer of a white opaque acrylic paint, and this is the result. And it still looks kind of a bit rough, but that's the way I want it. I want it to look menacing, and I want it to look ancient and rough and raw. So that was exactly what I was going for. What I will do now, as I let the paint dry up, I'm going to mix up some darker paint and wash, and make it put a dark wash over it, so all the small crevices and nooks and crannies will be a bit darker and it will look a bit more menacing. This is what the final version of the terror mask looks like. I painted it with a darker wash. As you can see, on some surfaces it looks a bit like bone or like stone or whatever. And I also covered up the holes for the mouth and the eyes with a semi-translucent black material that looks sort of like a mesh that you can see through. And yeah, and I think the dark washes really made it cool. And there's also one layer of varnish on top, and it makes it kind of look semi-glossy, and it looks, yeah, kind of slimy and such. And I think it's a really cool final result for such a simple build, and yeah.
Hey, retro game guys, Rick Taylor here. Hi29 asked me to present this special Halloween music track for you.
He said you guys enjoy the Splatterhouse soundtrack. Let it an almost 80s horror flick kind of vibe to it. Personally, I'm down with that sentiment. I love the 80s.